Revealed, how I transformed my life after my parents chose cash over me and my sister's mortgage. Emily stood in the cozy diner, the flickering neon sign buzzing softly above her, and her heart felt like it was caught in a vice. Just weeks ago, she'd thought her life was on a steady course. The laughter of her regulars filled the space, like sweet syrup over warm pancakes. Mr. Thompson, with his charming grin, shared stories of his late wife, while Sally, the single mom, brought her kids in for Saturday brunch, flashing that weary but determined smile. Each interaction taught her lessons of resilience, so when her parents chose a quick cash payout over helping her and Sarah keep their childhood home, it shook her to her core. Abandoned. That's how she felt. "I can't believe they choose money over us," she whispered to her reflection in the diner's stainless steel, the hurt evident in her eyes. Her dreams of a cozy home and a family unit began to crumble. The thought of losing the place she'd grown up in, where they shared so many memories, tightened her chest like painful waves. But life kept running on, even as Emily navigated the tumult. Day after day, amidst the clinking of mugs and sizzling griddles, friendships blossomed in the most unexpected places. Laughter mingled with the smell of brewed coffee. She made it through the shift, hoping for some sign that she was on the right path to patching things up with her family until the worst news hit. Her parents' impulsive spending decisions had left her and Sarah trapped in an even worse situation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily's heart raced, boiling with anger and disillusionment. What did loyalty mean when betrayal struck so close to home? The bitter taste of betrayal hung in the air like burnt toast. So, in a moment of desperation, she decided to do something, anchored firmly in the knowing that she wasn't alone. So many others in her tight-knit community faced similar struggles. A community project to help families like theirs, threatened by foreclosure, began to form in her mind. Surely, it could spark hope, even if it felt like a band-aid over her own bleeding wounds, but was it enough to erase that sting of feeling abandoned? Her family's echoing laughter haunted her, a ghost of the comfort she craved. It was in this whirlwind of emotions that a confrontation brewed, one where her parents couldn't hide anymore. Emily's cheeks flushed with every word as they unraveled their own struggles. Would it lead to a bridge being built back to home, or was it too late? As she continued to pour her heart into this endeavor, she sensed the universe preparing her for an even bigger test. The realization hit harder than a plate crashing to the floor. Could she confront the cracks in her family's foundation? Would the community rally together, or might the relentless currents of life drown her hopes once more? Each passing moment bringing her closer to breaking point, Emily questioned if she could ever reclaim what her family once was, especially now, standing on the brink of a revelation that could change everything. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue over the diner's windows. Emily wiped down the counter absently, her mind racing. The conversation with her parents weighed heavily on her shoulders. They had brushed off her hurt, insisting that their choices were best for everyone. But how could they consider money over their own daughters? Each recollection flashed through her mind like quicksilver: birthdays, holidays, simple Sunday dinners. That home held their entire story, and now it was slipping through her fingers. Emily. A familiar voice broke her thoughts. It was Sarah, her younger sister, entering through the door with a gust of cool air. A mix of excitement and worry danced across her face. "I was just talking to Mrs. Callahan. She mentioned needing help with her garden after her surgery. What if we organized a community cleanup day? Get everyone out together for a cause?" The idea sparked a flicker of hope within Emily. That could work, she breathed, feeling a swell of determination. We need something positive to come out of all this. A way to bring people together while we figure out our own mess. Suddenly, the gears were turning. Emily pulled out her notebook and began scribbling ideas. A barbecue, maybe? A small fundraiser and bake sale right in the diner? If they could get the community involved, it might not just help Mrs. Callahan but countless others facing hardships. She could see it now, the diner filled with warmth and laughter as neighbors chipped in, sharing stories in the face of adversity. But as the idea blossomed, that sharp edge of fear cut back in. What if no one showed up? What if the community had given up as much as she felt her parents had? Questions swirled, self-doubt curled tightly around her resolve. Emily pushed the thought away. No, she declared, grabbing Sarah's hands. We can do this. Her sister's face lit up. Exactly. We just need to get the word out. If we can gather people, make it a real event, I bet everyone would join. As they brainstormed details, a small joy permeated the air. It felt like a tiny flame igniting in the dark. But a flicker of hesitance followed. Both knew that this was just the first step. The looming cloud over their family drew nearer, shadows waiting to engulf what they might accomplish. Later, after a long day, Emily found herself propped against the diner's counter, staring out the window. The sun had set, and the sky glowed navy. She wondered if her parents would even care enough to attend. Did they still see her as their daughter, or was she just a burden alongside her sister? With these thoughts swirling in her mind, Emily knew she had a big task ahead, not only to bring the community together but also to reconcile with her family. Would they be willing to mend the fractures she now understood ran deep within them? Just then, her phone buzzed, an unexpected message from her mother. The wave of anxiety crashed against her. What could this mean? Did they want to talk again? Could it be that they were finally ready to face the hurt they'd all caused? Emily's heart raced. This could change everything, but perhaps it was more than she was prepared for. Steeling herself, she opened the message. But what she didn't expect was the news that would reshape everything. Emily's hands trembled as she read her mother's message. Her heart sank. Instead of a heartfelt apology, or an invitation to talk, it was a stark announcement: they had sold the family home. Panic surged through her. No, 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 she whispered, feeling the tight grip of despair. What is it? Sarah's voice broke through her fog, eyes wide with concern. They sold the house, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. It's gone. Sarah's face fell, a shadow crossing her features. But why would they do that? I don't know, Emily said, the weight of disbelief rolling off her tongue. It was our home. Our memories. Sarah's small hand wrapped around Emily's, grounding her. We can't let this break us. There's gotta be a way to fix this, right? We'll figure it out together. Emma nodded, though doubt still lingered in her mind. But they didn't even think of us. They didn't care. Maybe it's not about that, Sarah said softly, eyes filled with a mixture of sympathy and determination. Maybe it's about what we choose to do next. If we start this cleanup day, we can show them we're more than just a house. We have a community. The spark ignited again, but it felt distant, buried beneath a pile of hurt. Emily stood, suddenly resolved. You're right. If we want to make a difference, we have to take the first step. Mrs. Callahan needs us now more than ever. They set to work, crafting flyers and posting on social media. As they spread the word, Emily felt a small sense of purpose return. The diner brightened with every smile and nod from neighbors who promised to show up. It was a labor of love, each flyer a stitch in the aching fabric of their community's heart, yet, as night slipped into the next day, fear lingered in the corners of her mind. Was this enough? Could they really pull off a successful event? On the day of the cleanup, Emily looked out from the diner's doorstep, anxiety creeping in like an unwelcome guest. She counted the people filtering in 3, 5, 10. It was a mix of familiar faces, and the sight warmed her chest. But it wasn't just their presence that mattered, it was what those faces reflected: commitment, hope, and perhaps a shared pain she hadn't acknowledged. As they got to work, laughter and chatter filled the air, brightening the once gray landscape. Emily found herself chatting with neighbors, sharing stories over the sound of hands at work, and for the first time in days, it felt as if the weight was lifting. It was hard not to smile as Mrs. Callahan directed them with gratitude. Suddenly, Emily's phone buzzed again. Hesitating, she glanced down. A picture. It was of the sold sign outside the home, her parents standing underneath it with blank expressions. The caption read, "Family means everything, but sometimes we must choose what's best for us." It stung, a bitter reminder of the fracture that couldn't be ignored. "Hey, you okay?" Sarah broke through her thoughts, worry etched on her face. "I will be," Emily managed, forcing a smile. Yet in her chest, doubt coiled tighter. Did her parents think this was the end of it? Did they think she'd just let it go? But then, the sound of laughter cut through her spiral. She looked around, taking in the effort and joy pouring from everyone, and a fleeting thought struck her. Maybe this wasn't just about her anymore. Maybe they were all on the verge of something new. With the sun weltering down, she stood taller. Emily knew they still had work to do. Even with the fresh scars, reconciliation felt possible, but a familiar face appears in the crowd, and Emily's breath hitches. It's her mother. What was she doing here? What did she want? Emily's heart raced as she locked eyes with her mother, standing just a few paces away. The sun caught the corners of her mom's eyes, and for an instant, Emily saw a flicker of the woman who used to fill their home with warmth and laughter. But that warmth felt distant now, overshadowed by feelings of betrayal and confusion. What was she doing here? Emily couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions collide in her chest. Anger, hurt, even a little hope, but mostly fear. What if this was just another betrayal in the making? Mom? Emily's voice wavered, anxiety twisting in her stomach. The laughter and chatter around her faded into a soft murmur as she focused on her mother's uncertain expression. Emily, her mother said, stepping forward. There was a hesitation in her voice, a fragile tremor that made Emily's heart ache. I needed to talk to you. To both of you. Sarah's grip on Emily tightened. She watched the scene unfold, her face a mixture of concern and protectiveness. What is there to talk about? Emily snapped, crossing her arms, her defenses already on high alert. You gave everything away without a second thought. Our memories, our home, do you even care? Her mother flinched, as if struck. I do care. But you don't understand everything that's been going on. I didn't make this decision lightly, Em. A lump formed in Emily's throat. She wanted to scream, to throw every hurtful word in her arsenal at her mother. But instead, her mind raced. What could she possibly say that would reach through the walls that had built up between them? They didn't even consult us, Sarah whispered, her voice breaking the silence. You heard us. You split the family apart. I know, her mother admitted, anguish lining her voice. I thought it would be better for us, for all of us. But I see that I was wrong. I just wanted to what? Emily interrupted, anger bubbling up again. To get rid of us like we were just baggage? A house isn't just bricks and wood, Mom. Her voice cracked. It's where we grew up. Where we learned to be who we are. The words hung heavily between them. For a moment, her mother looked small, vulnerable in a way Emily hadn't seen in years. The tough exterior seemed to crumple as her mother took a shakily breath. I was scared. Scared of failing you both. When the market hit rock bottom, I thought selling the house might give you a clean slate. I wanted to protect you. Protect us? Emily echoed incredulously. You can't buy trust or love, Mom. You can't sell those things off to make us feel better. Her mother's eyes shimmered. I see that now. I see my mistake. But I'm here to fix this. I want to help build something new together. Sarah's grip on Emily loosened, sharing a glance that spoke volumes. Emily felt the first stirrings of something that resembled hope, but she didn't want to rush into it again. She stood there, caught between a past filled with affection and a future filled with uncertainty. Why should we believe you? Emily whispered, tears brimming at the edges of her resolve. You walked away when we needed you most. It's not too late, her mother said, stepping closer, her voice thick with emotion. I want to help. Maybe we can be a family again. Emily's mind spun. Could she forgive what felt like an irreparable rift? Did she want to? In that charged moment, she felt the weight of her world hanging in the balance, trembling between years of hurt and the glimmer of perhaps rebuilding. But just then, Sarah nudged her gently, a knowing look on her face. Emily, maybe we need to talk this out. Just like we cleaned up the diner today. Maybe we can clean up this mess too. Emily's gaze drifted back to her mother, searching for any sign of sincerity. Could they really start anew? Was it possible to forge a bridge across the chasms that had opened? Her heart quaked with uncertainty. With just one question hanging in the air, ready to shift the course of everything she thought she knew. Why did you really come here? Because I want to be honest with you, her mother finally replied, tears pooling in her eyes. I didn't just come here to apologize. I came to share everything, the truth about what has been happening, why I did what I did. Emily's breath caught. The truth? After all this time, what could her mother possibly say that would make everything better? That would explain the unexplainable? I don't understand, Emily said, her heart beating faster. What truth could justify any of this? Mom, just tell us everything, Sarah said, her voice softer now, a hint of curiosity mingling with her anger. What are you hiding? Her mother clasped her hands together, the tremor in her fingers still evident. When Dad left, it hit me harder than you both know. I was drowning in bills, debt piling up every month. I thought about you too, about how I had to provide. And then. The words faltered, like a flickering light struggling to stay on. Then what? Emily pressed, leaning forward, desperate to grasp any part of this crumbling narrative. I got a call from an investor, her mother continued, her voice trembling. They were interested in buying the house. I thought maybe it could help us start fresh. You know, moving to a nicer place. Something where we could heal and mend as a family. Emily shook her head in disbelief. So you thought selling everything we had was the answer? You thought that would bring us closer together? I didn't know what else to do, Em. Her mother's voice rose, desperation spilling into the air. I was scared, terrified of losing you both. You always looked up to me, and I couldn't bear the thought of failing you. Failing us? Emily echoed, the anger boiling inside her. You think abandoning us was protecting us? You tore our family apart. You chose cash over us. As intense words fired back and forth, Emily felt herself losing control. Her emotions were a whirlwind, a storm of hurt and frustration crashing against her mother's pleas. But deep down, Emily felt that familiar flicker of hope wavering within her. Could her mother still show them a path forward? I want to do better, her mother said, her voice softer now, laced with pain. I want to make it right. Please let me explain everything. The investor, he promised to help us out in ways I didn't think possible. There's a plan, a way to get back what we lost. Emily stared at her mother, caught between her own desire for answers and the fear of being hurt again. What kind of plan? Moving us somewhere we can thrive. A place to heal. Together. This isn't just about the house, Emily. It's about our family. I want us to find our way back to each other. Her eyes locked onto Emily's, full of both vulnerability and determination. Silence filled the space around them, heavy and thick. Emily could feel the weight of her mother's gaze, searching for understanding. Was it possible the woman standing before her was ready to fight for them? But doubt crept in. And if it doesn't work? Emily whispered, her heart racing at the thought. What if this is just another scheme? Another trap? Then I promise to step back, to let you go, her mother said, her voice steady yet fragile. But please give me a chance to show you to prove it. Emily exchanged a glance with Sarah, whose brow furrowed in thoughtful conflict. Could they trust their mother again? The path ahead felt uncertain, daunting even, yet the possibility of healing flickered like a candle in the dark. Just one chance, Emily finally breathed. That's all you get. At that moment, a sudden crash echoed from behind them, a scuffle, raised voices cut short by a shocked gasp. They turned as a figure darted away, leaving fear rippling through the air. Who was that? Sarah gasped, her body tense. Did someone hear us? Emily's heart raced again, but this time with a new kind of fear. We should find out. The evening was unfolding into a chaotic ride. Just when they thought they could grasp control, the universe had other plans. Emily's heart pounded as the adrenaline surged through her veins. The figure that rushed past them lingered in her mind like a dark shadow, taunting her curiosity. What if they know, she thought, glancing back at her mother. Would any of this be worth it if someone had been lurking, listening to their every word? Stay here, she instructed Sarah, her voice firm despite the uncertainty. She would be damned if she let fear keep her from discovering the truth. Her mother's eyes widened, but Emily didn't wait for her to protest. She darted toward the rear door, silently pulling it open. The cool night air enveloped her, stirring leaves scattered across the ground. Emily stepped out and peered into the dimly lit backyard. The world felt surreal, as if time had paused in this moment of desperation. Who are you? She whispered to herself, instinctively scanning the perimeter of their yard. The shadows danced menacingly against the light of the porch lamp. There was a rustling at the end of the garden, and before she knew it, her feet were moving in that direction. Emily. Wait. She heard her mother call from inside, but she couldn't stop. She had to know. As she reached the end of the yard, the moonlight illuminated the faint outline of a figure crouched by the fence. Emily's heart raced. Hey! She called out, unsure if she should show fear or resolve. Who are you? The figure froze, then slowly turned. A young man, no older than 20, emerged from the shadows. The worry etched on his face starkly contrasted with the foreign confidence in his posture. I'm not here to hurt you, he said, hands raised in surrender. I swear. Please. I just overheard you. Overheard what? Emily demanded, cautious. Panic surged through her, making her want to turn back. What had he heard? Was he here to threaten them or expose her mother? I heard everything, he replied, his voice shaking slightly. About your mom and the investor. His eyes darted nervously. You need to be careful. They're not who you think they are. Emily blinked, a chill running down her spine. What do you mean? But before he could answer, Sarah appeared at the door, anxiety rolling off of her in waves. Emily, what are you doing? She called, her voice trembling. Just talking. Emily shouted back, but her eyes were locked on the stranger. Who are you? The boy stepped closer, lowering his voice. My name is Alex. I used to live here, before you guys moved in. My dad lost the house to the same investor. I came back hoping to find something. He hesitated. I didn't think I'd hear all of this. Emily's heart raced as she exchanged a quick glance with Sarah. This was sounding increasingly alarming. Do you know what is going on? What kind of investor? Alex nodded, urgency flickering in his eyes. They've been buying places like yours in bulk. They're planning to turn them into hotels or something. They don't actually care about families, they just want to profit. The words hit Emily like a punch to the gut. Her mother's intentions were becoming intertwined with something far more sinister. No, that can't be right. It's true, Alex persisted, desperation thick in his voice. You need to dig deeper. If your mom's involved with them, it could be worse than you think. As Emily wrestled with the revelations, fear clawed at her heart. Trust had been so fragile, so recently gained. Were they standing at the edge of another betrayal? Listen, Emily said urgently, we can't let her be involved with someone like that. But as they turned back toward the house, they realized her mother was no longer standing in the doorway. Where did she go? Sarah's voice laced with panic. An uneasy silence fell between them, thick with uncertainty. Everything felt upside down now, as if the very ground underneath them was unstable. Emily, we need to find her, Sarah urged, her eyes wide. Now. Together, they took off back toward the house, but with every step, unease crept deeper into their hearts. They had reached the point of no return, and a shadow of doubt loomed over their reconciliation. What had they truly stumbled into? What other secrets lay beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Emily's heart raced as they rushed toward the house. Each step felt heavier with dread, the weight of fear settling deep in her chest. She wouldn't just leave, Emily muttered more to herself than to Sarah. Yet, a gnawing doubt tortured her mind. They pushed through the door, but the moment they stepped inside the house, tightness washed over Emily. The living room was dark, with only the glow of the porch light spilling through the open door. "Mom!" she called out, her voice echoing against the barren walls. Silence answered, thick and ominous. "Check the kitchen," Sarah suggested, her voice trembling with urgency. Emily nodded, the fear flashing in Sarah's eyes mirroring her own. They split up, Emily heading toward the kitchen while Sarah moved to the stairs. As Emily entered the kitchen, she felt an overwhelming sense of wrongness. It was all too quiet. Never before had their cheerful kitchen, the epicenter of their family gatherings, felt so foreign. The faint smell of her mother's cooking still lingered, but it felt tainted now, as if it carried the weight of secrets. "Mom?" Emily tried again, scanning every corner, searching for any sign of life. The kitchen was empty. Panic swelled in her chest. "She has to be here," she wouldn't just suddenly, the front door creaked shut behind her. Emily spun around, heart hammering. "Sarah?" she called, but there was no reply. The sound of the door slamming felt like thunder in her ears. Gripping the edge of the counter, Emily steadied herself. She needed to think. They could go outside again, search the yard. Maybe her mother had stepped out for air, for peace amidst the chaos. But then something caught her eye, a shadow moving beneath the door leading to the basement. "Mom?" she whispered, dread creeping back in. She moved toward the door, each step feeling like a leap into the dark. The basement was rarely used, and it was unsettling how the light bulb flickered ominously overhead as she approached. She could feel her heart thumping louder, almost echoing through the hall. With a shaky hand, she grasped the doorknob. "Mom, are you down there?" The silence that enveloped her was suffocating. Drawing in a deep breath, she opened the door, and a rush of cool air slipped past her. As she descended the stairs, darkness swallowed her whole. She fumbled for the light switch, and when she flipped it, the weak glow illuminated the basement. It was cluttered with old furniture, boxes, and forgotten memories, but there was no sign of her mother. "Mom!" she shouted, a desperate plea echoing through the uncomfortable stillness. Then she noticed something, a suitcase by the far wall, half open and packed hastily. Emily felt her stomach drop. What is she planning? Maybe it was just a misunderstanding, but deep down, dread pooled inside her. Just then, a creaking sound behind her made her whip around. Sarah stood at the top of the stairs, straining to see down into the gloom. "Emily. Are you okay? What is going on?" Sarah pressed, catching her breath before stepping down a few steps. "She's not here." "But look at this." Emily pointed at the suitcase. "There's something wrong. We need to find her." Fear darted through Sarah's eyes. What if Alex was right? What if she really is involved in something dangerous? Emily felt the darkness close in around her, a swirl of confusion and fear threatening to drown her. She had to find her mother and uncover the truth before it was too late. "Let us search the house again. We need answers," Emily said, resolute. She turned back to the staircase, but the sense of urgency pulsed like a heartbeat within her. With every moment that passed, the weight of unraveling secrets pressed harder on her shoulders. What had her mother gotten involved in? What would they find if they dug deeper? Would they expose a betrayal, or uncover a hard truth about the choices she made? With a final glance back at the suitcase, the fear now turned into a spark of determination. "Come on, we have to hurry." As they climbed the stairs, both women couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was lurking just beneath the surface of their lives, waiting to be revealed. Time was running out, and they had to find out before anything else slipped away. Each flicker in their lives could lead them one step closer to a truth that threatened to shatter everything. What had they unknowingly placed everything on the line for? As they ascended, the tension between Emily and Sarah was palpable, each step feeling heavier with the shadows of doubt and fear. The rest of the house loomed ahead, the familiar rooms now deeply tinged with uncertainty. Emily glanced at Sarah, her heart pounding. "What if we don't find her?" Sarah asked, her voice barely louder than a whisper. Emily took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "We have to believe we will. She can't just vanish." But inside, panic coiled tight, like a snake ready to strike. They needed to stay focused. Stepping into the living room again, they both called out for their mother, voices melding into the eerie silence. The emptiness pressed in on them. "Let us check the study," Emily suggested, her heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. Their mother often found solace among her books, but it was also where she kept her private notes and ramblings, anything that could shed light on what they were facing. They crossed to the door leading to the study, half expecting it to be locked. But it swung open with a gentle push, revealing the familiar chaos of papers strewn across the desk. The air was thick with the scent of dust, remnants of a once organized life. "Mom?" Emily called again as they stepped inside, scanning the room. Books were tucked haphazardly on shelves, and a faint beam of moonlight spilled through the window, illuminating the disarray. Sarah moved closer to the desk, her fingers brushing over the papers. "Look at this," she said, picking up a notepad filled with hastily scrawled notes. She's been writing about different places, like cities and countries. Emily moved in beside her, peering at the messy handwriting. "What does it say? Is she planning to leave?" A knot twisted in Sarah's stomach as she read aloud. "There are names here, and dates. She's been keeping track of something. It's like a plan." Anxiety fluttered in Emily's chest. Could it really be true? Had their mother been plotting something unknown to them? "Maybe we should take a picture of this, just in case," Emily said, pulling out her phone, but as she did, her eyes caught something else on the desk, a small key, the kind that could fit a filing cabinet. It glimmered in the dim light, half hidden under a pile of papers. "Wait," she said, reaching for it. "Do you think?" Sarah's face tightened with realization. There might be more hidden stuff in there. What if she's got important documents? Emily nodded, the urgency of the moment charging through her veins. "Let us find out." They moved swiftly to a nearby filing cabinet, the metal cool and inviting. With a quick turn of the key, the drawer clicked open, and Emily felt the rush of adrenaline surge within her. The contents were a jumbled collection of papers, old tax records, legal documents, but one folder stood out, its labeled edge torn. "Here it is," Emily gasped, her fingers trembling as she pulled it from the drawer. Inside were financial statements, each one more bewildering than the last. There were sums of money listed that they had no recollection of, strange transactions. "What is this?" Sarah whispered, eyes wide. Where did she get this kind of money? As they sifted through the documents, a picture began to emerge, one that posed more questions than answers. Had their mother been keeping secrets so deep that they threatened the very foundation of the family? Emily's thoughts raced as she held the folder, the reality dawning on her with each passing moment. What if she was in trouble? What if this money is connected to something dangerous? "Then we really need to find her, and fast," Sarah replied, her voice full of urgency. Just as they were about to return to their search, a sudden sound startled them. A soft knock echoed from somewhere deep within the house. "Did you hear that?" Emily's breath caught in her throat. What if it's her? Sarah's eyes flickered with a glimmer of hope, but uncertainty loomed large in the air between them. With hearts racing and fear inching closer like a shadow, they exchanged glances. What came next could change everything. "Let us go see," Emily said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Together, they stepped out of the study, each moment leading them closer to the truth they desperately sought. Who or what was waiting for them just beyond that door? Emily took the lead, her hand resting against the wall for guidance as they moved through the dimly lit hallway. Every creak of the old floorboards echoed like a whisper of dread, heightening the tension suffocating them. Sarah followed closely behind, her heart hammering in her chest, unsure if the sound was anticipation or fear. As they approached the source of the knock, uncertainty twisted in Emily's stomach. Was this the moment they defined their mom? Or would it lead them deeper into the unsettling mystery? Her mind raced with possibilities, but she forced herself to stay present, to focus on each step taken. Maybe it's just the wind, Sarah murmured, the thought sounding weak even to her. Or Emily trailed off, the word hanging in the air. Someone else. They reached the door at the end of the hall, its edges worn and chipped. The house felt alive around them, but in a way that was off-kilter. The shadows seemed to pulse with every heartbeat. With a sharp inhale, Emily turned the knob, anxiety shooting through her veins as the door swung open. What met them was a darkened room. The curtains were drawn tightly shut, fabric blocking any semblance of light. The air inside was stale, a thick cloak of dust hanging heavily in their lungs. Emily stepped inside first, her brave facade flickering under the weight of the unknown. "Mom?" she called out, her voice wavering. The echo slithered away, leaving only silence behind. "Is anyone in here?" Sarah joined her, eyes scanning the shadows. Before more uncertainty could thicken the air, movement caught their attention. A shadow shifted in the far corner, too quick to identify clearly. Emily's heart leaped into her throat as another knock resounded, this time louder, more urgent. At that moment, the silhouette stepped forward into the faint light spilling in from the hallway. Emily squinted, her breath catching. "Who are you?" she stammered, taking an instinctive step back. "Please help me." The voice was shaky, barely a whisper. The woman before them was disheveled, her clothes rumpled and stained, eyes wide with terror. She was a stranger, yet something about her felt familiar. "Who are you?" Sarah repeated, her tone more assertive this time, though fear wove through her words. "I know your mom," the woman said, her voice trembling. She sent me here. I came to warn you." Emily and Sarah exchanged incredulous glances, hearts pounding in tandem. How could this woman know their mother? Why? What's happening? Emily asked, urgency flooding her voice. Behind the stranger, the shadows seemed to shift, an uncomfortable weight pressing down on them. The woman stepped closer, breathless. "You don't understand. Your mother is in trouble. Bigger than you can imagine." "What do you mean? Where is she?" Sarah pressed, eyes wide and frantic. "I can't explain here." The woman cast a quick glance around the room, her expression caught somewhere between desperation and dread. "But they're watching. They need that folder." Emily's stomach dropped. "The folder?" "Yes. The financial documents. She's mixed up with dangerous people. They think she has information that she doesn't. You need to hide it. Now." Panic swelled like a tsunami within Emily. She had to think. She had to get a grip. "What do we do? Where can we go?" "Trust no one. Call me when you're safe," the woman said urgently, fumbling to slip something into Emily's hand. "Here, take this. It'll help." Whatever it was, it felt weighty and significant against her palm. But before she could process what was happening, the woman vanished into the shadows, leaving them bewildered and breathless. "What just happened?" Sarah whispered, clutching Emily's arm tightly. "I don't know, but we can't stay here." Emily's mind raced. Gripping the folder in her one hand, she held tightly to whatever the woman had given her with the other. They turned to leave, but the atmosphere felt charged, oppressive. Another knock echoed behind them, deeper and more menacing this time, sending chills down their spines. "Emily, we need to go now." As they fled the room, the feeling of being watched gnawed at them, each knock ringing louder, closer. They had just scratched the surface of something far more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. Was their mother really in danger? And what had that woman wanted to warn them about? The answers loomed ahead, just out of reach, like the flickering shadows dancing at the edge of the light. What's next? Sarah gasped, breathless. Emily squeezed her sister's hand, determination setting her heart ablaze. We find Mom and we get to the bottom of this fast. The air felt thick with uncertainty, and their journey had just begun. With every step, they were plunged further into the darkness. What awaited them on the other side could spiral their lives in ways they never expected. Emily stood in the diner, looking out at the world beyond the window. The sun was just beginning to rise, washing everything in golden light. It felt like the dawn of a new beginning. Just hours ago, they'd been in chaos, racing against an unknown danger that loomed over their family. But now, a flicker of hope illuminated her heart. After discovering the truth from the mysterious woman, everything changed. They had mobilized, pooling their resources to protect their mother from the investors who wanted to destroy what had once been their home. Emily and Sarah gathered their friends and neighbors, each stepping up to the plate. Together, they formed a small task force, rallying to uncover more about the people trying to take advantage of situations like theirs. The night that followed felt electric with urgency. They had dug deeper and discovered a network of families caught in the same web of betrayal, the same deceit. Through shared information and increasingly urgent meetings, they found strength in their unity. Emily's parents stood together again, speaking tentatively about their choices, faced with Sarah and Emily's determination to take their fate into their own hands. Each tearful conversation peeled back layers of hurt, regret, and miscommunication. We were pressured, her mother finally confessed, the weight of shame evident in her voice. I thought I was protecting you both. Love intertwined with anger created a storm of emotions. Emily felt relief flooding in. They were not only rebuilding bonds but also regaining clarity as a family, but the truth wasn't without a fight. They had bravely faced off against the investor, unearthing not just facts, but a moral truth. Family meant standing together, even when the ground beneath their feet felt uncertain. The community echoed their rallying cry. Friends and neighbors who shared plates and laughter stood by their side, uniting against the corporate greed threatening to tear them apart. Weeks rolled into months. Each shared meal, each volunteer day brightened their spirits, including their parents. Emily watched them slowly evolve into something new, the barriers breaking down, revealing real compassion. Their once fractured family began to glue itself back together, brick by brick. One evening, as the sun lowered into a horizon dipped in hues of orange and pink, Emily stood before a crowd gathered outside the diner, the smell of barbecue blending with laughter. It felt right. We aren't just fighting for our home, she shouted, her pulse quickening with excitement. We're fighting for every family who feels trapped, for every kid who deserves to grow up in a safe place. Shouts of agreement rose, igniting the warmth of support that wrapped around her like a comforting hug. From behind her, her mother approached, arms outstretched. Emily turned, surprised, but before she could think, her mother enveloped her in a hug. Thank you, Em. Thank you for giving me a chance to fix this. The beautiful weight of their journey settled within her chest, and with tears brimming in her eyes, Emily smiled back. In that moment, she realized how far they had come, how powerful their unity had been. The laughter of the community swelled in the air. Her family was alive again, woven back together, stories unfolding in real time rather than just whispers from the past. They were no longer defined by the house they'd lost. They were creating a home, filled with love, light, and resilience, and as the sun dipped finally below the horizon, a new day shimmered on the horizon, marking the beginning of a chapter where family ties bound them together tighter than ever before. Emily looked around at their neighbors, their friends, her sister, and her parents, with full hearts and radiant smiles. The hope for tomorrow felt genuine, and she knew this was just the beginning of new possibilities. Now, as you sit here, feeling that stir of inspiration, remember, change begins when we gather strength from each other. You need to subscribe now to this channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm and keep the positive energy flowing. Comment below and let us know your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and your voice matters. Don't wait not even one more second.